week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last thoughts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show. Mr. Samich, it's the last day of 2020. What better way than to kick things off with one last late pick 4 show?
Why not, man? We got all our friends are back in the building here, so I'm interested. I'm excited to do this. The Mucho Macho Man is one of the stakes that we're covering here. And if you remember, Mucho Macho Man 2 years ago is really where we put ourselves on the map, hitting that the big pick 4 here at Gulfstream. We got the Ginger Brew right before it, two of my favorite stakes races. So I am ready to rock and roll and get this puppy going. How about you, man? How you doing?
Was that the Casa Creed the day that I listened to you and put Casa Creed on at the last second?
Yes, sir. Casa Creed and oh God, there's another horse. There was a two. Like I can't remember the horse's name now. It was a 3-year-old. Because this is always the first stakes race in January for this group or for Gulfstream Park. So it was the kind of one of those early 3-year-old preps. The Mucho Macho Man going one turn, setting up for the Gulfstream set of the 3-year-old races. So it'd be interesting to see kind of if these horses progress. Generally, this race has not been wonderful for setting up for the Florida Derby and whatnot.
Well, that's going to change this year because there's a horse that we both really love in there. That we love him so much we drafted him in the second round overall in the Fantasy League. So I got a feeling you and I might like his chances in the Mucho Macho Man. But hey, we're looking at Gulfstream Park, the Saturday late pick 4, which is going to be January 2nd, their first Saturday card, which is looking pretty great as usual. This is what you expect from Gulfstream Park during their championship meet on the weekends. But before we get into it, Mike, what's the best thing you saw this week?
Well, this one's actually pretty easy for me, and this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure if you saw this, but Naira made an announcement. The pick 6, the Empire 6, 20-cent pick 6, is not going to be mandatory. Every day is going to be mandatory payout in January. So there will be no carryovers. Now, it's interesting because you have the 20-cent denomination, so it'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays out and whether or not that gets you bigger or smaller pools on these every day. I'm guessing you're going to have pretty decent-sized pools. You won't see 5 of 6 payouts, which is interesting to me. So it's just going to be that 6 out of 6. But 5 of 6 will pay if no one hits it 6 out of 6. But it's going to be kind of a quote-unquote traditional pick 6 with 20 cents. So first off, I hate jackpot bets. So I'm excited to see one of those go away. I think it's interesting they're keeping the Empire 6 name. Be interesting to see kind of how this plays out and just, where the pool sizes are, whether or not we're going to see some big-time pools, whether or not it's going to kind of just be mediocre. I'm probably going to play a couple days and definitely it's one of those things where if you're putting in the work to do the pick 5, playing the pick 6 is pretty easy now. It's a 20-cent denomination. So Aqueduct pick 6 going 20 cents and paying out every day is the best thing I saw this week. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I saw that and I meant to text you about it and get your opinion on it. So I'm glad you brought that up here. It is interesting that they're moving that way. Getting rid of the jackpot bet seems to very slowly be phased in at some of these bigger tracks now, which is great. So I know the best thing that I saw is going to be I have two things, but one of them is Jason Beam put together a 2020 video, the song that he did, where it's what's the Saint? No, We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel. He took that, but he just but he changed it to where it was all lyrics that were pertaining to this year in horse racing specifically. So go check that out. He's twitter.com/Beamy Awards.
He's been bringing the heat, man.
He's been great. Especially at the end of the year, it feels like he's just flushing out all of his best ideas. It's pretty. Most of us are just getting rid of whatever shit's left over in our heads. And Jason Beam's like, no, I got you. This is the best stuff of the year right here.
He's like, we're not doing the Beamy Awards. So I got all this stuff I've been working on that I can just throw out there now at the end of the year to make people's weeks. So it's exciting to see it, man. It's twice in the last 3 weeks you've used Beam as your best thing you saw.
Yeah, because what was it the last? Damn it, now I'm gonna forget.
How you handicap.
That's right. How you root.
How you root, that's right. Yeah.
Are you a snapper? Are you that's what it was. Also, a callback to something even earlier than that. Remember when the best thing that I saw was the Saved by the Bell reboot trailer? I finally watched it. We binge watched the entire series in 3 days, and it's only 10 episodes in their half hour, so it's quick. But
thumbs up or thumbs down?
Oh my God, it was so much better than I could have hoped for. I had high expectations, and I figured I was gonna love it. It was so much better than I thought it was gonna be. They took a lot of little jabs or winks at the old series. The four main kids are back as adults.
Yep.
AC Slater and Jesse Spano are main characters. But just the way that they worked it all out, Mike is gone. Mike just disappeared on me. The way it all works out, the way things, the different references, the different jokes, the seriousness of the show, it all worked out pretty well for it. So big thumbs up from me. I'll have to tell Mike about it, but Mike disappeared from the feed. We'll see what happens here. Mike's had issues with his computer, not always responding very well to this. So hey, there he is. He's back.
I've been here the whole time. I heard you talking. My video just completely cut out on me.
Hey, do me a quick favor. Check your mic settings, because I think when it cut out, it got rid of your mic there. But no, anyways, long story short, two thumbs up on Saved by the Bell reboot. If you watched it or thinking about watching, if you let us know in the comments. I loved it. You should check it out. Definitely check it out.
So are they going to have the Zach Moritz's trash coming back for the new reboot series? Is he a bad person in every episode, or does he actually have some redeeming qualities in the new one?
Well, first of all, the guy who created Zach Morris's trash is one of the writers, which I thought was another genius move.
Oh, that's amazing.
They brought him on to the Saved by the Bell. Zach Morris is only in it a couple of episodes. He is probably the busiest actor out of those four. But it was,
He's still got a career.
He's the one that has a career outside of Saved by the Bell. You know what? They did a good job with him, because he doesn't paint it as this altruistic hero that gets away with everything. He's the governor of California now, and he makes mistakes and he has to pay for them. So I'll leave it at that.
All right. I can get behind this. I like it.
Definitely check it out, though. It's on Peacock if you're interested. But hey, you're not here for TV talk, you're here for horse racing. So let's see if we can get some winners at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, January 2nd. Riders up! Your computer just kicked you out? Is that what happened?
The USB connected with everything unplugged. So it just went bye-bye.
That'll do it.
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's go 3, 2. All right, kicking things off for the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, January 2nd. Race 8 on the card. The field of 12 males, 3 and up, plus 1 also eligible, going a mile and a 16th on the turf course here. Favoritism looks like it's going to be the number 12, Win From Within for Todd Pletcher, 3-1. Another Todd Pletcher horse in here, Prayer Book, the 9 horse, is 7-2. Elsewhere, you're pretty much going to be looking at double digits unless you like a couple Mott horses. Where are you going on top?
Yeah, so this one was interesting for me. First off, I handicap without the morning line odds. So in real time here, I'm seeing what the odds of the horses that I picked were, which is always a fun thing. I guess I chalked out here. I took the 2 Pletchers. On top, I'm going to put the 12 horse all the way on the outside. I hate the post draw. But I like kind of the move that they made when you have a horse that had not broken its maiden before, then goes right into a stakes race where it did with anticipation, and that was supposed to be on the turf. That race ended up coming off the turf. The horse still ran decent. Fire at Will ended up winning that race. Now we're adding Lasix here, which I like here in the step forward. It's off a layoff. I think it's interesting that Pletcher brings this horse back in this spot. All of those things to me are positive. My big concern here, obviously, is that mile and the 16th and the 12 draw. So it's going to take everything that Saez can do to work out a trip here on Win From Within. But I do think that this horse has every right to take a massive step forward here. The dam was 1 for 6 with a win on the turf, so that's always a good thing. And this horse is a sister to Shakas, which was a multiple grade 2 winner on the turf with 6 wins and earning almost $1 million all on the turf. So the 12 has a good turf pedigree in that sense. So I think that the 12 is going to take a step forward. First time Lasix, first time on the turf. And like I said, the fact that they tried to get this horse in a stakes race as a maiden on the turf tells you everything you need to know about what Pletcher and team think about this horse's turf talent. So the fact that we're getting the lawn for the first time made me put the 12 on top. Because Pletcher has 2 in here, and because that 9 Prayer Book is really well bred, this is a Stone Street horse. It's owned partially by Stone Street, partially by Herald Ventures. Uncle Mo, $500,000 horse here. I don't see how you don't use Prayer Book as well, especially if you're using the 12, which is to the outside. So I think the 9 and the 12 are kind of those must-use horses for me. I do like the 12 the most, but I'm going to end up 4 deep here. I thought this was actually one of the tougher races in the sequence because I hate these outside posts, and I don't want to, the best way to beat a favorite at Gulfstream Park is have them hung wide from these post draws on the turf course. And so I don't want to have just 2 Pletchers that have never touched the turf before that are wide. That's not a great recipe for success.
No, I'm with you. This was the hardest one of the day for me. When I go all the way through, I went back afterwards and looked at this race again. I was like, how can I try and make this work? You and I went 3 deep, and you're using my 3 horses, and the only one I didn't use is the 12, and it's simply because of that post draw. I think first time routing all the way out on the 12th post, I think that's going to be really tough for him. Even with Saez aboard, I mean, this horse is, if he was drawn, hell at the 9 post, I would definitely use him. You talked about Fire at Will, who went on to win at the Breeders' Cup. You have Olympiad was in a race that he was in as a maiden. Reinvestment Risk won that race. Garoppolo was a horse that beat him on debut. So there's a lot to like about this horse. I'm passing because of that the really shitty post draw here, and also the fact that it's 3-1. So but if you're going to use this horse, and especially because there's 2 Pletchers, I don't hate you for going that way. Prayer Book. The one thing you didn't mention, this is a half brother to Run Happy. So, there's a little bit of talent in this horse, probably some early speed as well. And then has one older sibling that was really talented on turf, 6 for 24. So the fact that this horse is going to be trying turf for the first time, that you brought up that Stone Street bred this horse and then bought back in with Harold Ventures at the auction for $500,000. There's a lot to like here. Irad's getting up. I think my biggest concern here is debuting at or over a mile. Todd Pletcher is 4 for his last 55. So it's not great, but it is a very tough task for any horse to do. And if I had to bet a trainer that might be really good at it, I'd probably go with Todd Pletcher. So it sounds like that neither one of us are that worried about it in this field, right?
No, I'm not too concerned. And like I said, if I'm using the 12, I feel like I have to use the 9. It'll be interesting to see if one scratches out, specifically if the 9 ends up scratching out to help the 12 come in a post. I will end up using a 5th horse in here, but which would end up being the 4th horse. But I think it's interesting if this 9 comes out or if the 12 comes out. It'll show faith in the other horse in my mind from the Pletcher barn.
Let's talk about the other 2 horses that we like. Let's go to the 5 first. Flora Form. This is Juddmonte Farms homebred for Bill Mott. John Velasquez is going to be aboard for the first time. This is a horse that was favored at 8-5 in the debut, going 6 furlongs at Churchill. Didn't run a lick on the dirt. Then stretches out to routing at Churchill, again on the dirt. Doesn't run a lick, but there were a bunch of really good horses in both of those that came back to win, break their maidens next out. You're getting John Velasquez up, which I mentioned is a huge deal. Buy into Mischief out of an Empire Maker mare. Should be able to handle routing, should be able to handle turf. First time Lasix, 0 for 15 for Bill Mott, but it's, there's a lot of screwy things that are happening here at Gulfstream where you've got horses that are, sometimes you can't run Lasix here or there, but now at Gulfstream, if it's not a stakes, you can't, it's all screwy. But that I'm using Flora Form partially, I'll be honest. I realized when I handicapped, I needed horses that were drawn further inside than the 9 post. I'm like, this is routing on turf. It's a short run. I got to have who's the best horse that's drawn inside? And this is the horse I landed on.
Yeah, I kind of had the same problem, to be honest with you. It's one of the reasons why I ended up on the 5 as well. And my next horse in is actually the 1 because of that. I just couldn't find anyone inside that 9 post that I liked that much. And so that made it really hard to kind of handicap because I do want to have at least someone on the inside here. And that drew me to the 5 horse. Look, this screamed like a horse that they wanted to be on the Derby Trail, the way that they kind of debuted this horse. And the fact that they debuted it without Lasix to kind of test the waters there. And things just didn't work out for this horse. So because of that, I think that they decided to move this horse over to the turf here and try it on the turf. And let me correct myself there. I realize it's an older 3-year-old, so I think they wanted to kind of look for more of the classic division. Just because you mentioned this horse is really well bred for the turf with Into Mischief and Empire Maker, that's really well bred. Period. I mean, that's one of those. That's one of those damn sire combinations where you could really see that horse on any surface excelling. Obviously running the classics on the dirt, there's a little bit more money. So I think that was the original idea, but I do think that the move to turf here is going to fit well. Bill Mott's a trainer who kind of runs him into shape in a lot of ways. So adding Lasix 3rd time out, going over to the turf 3rd time out, to me are both positives in that sense. I expect that we get quite a bit of improvement here. My biggest concern is kind of where this horse is going to fall. I like the fact that the horse showed speed in that sprint debut. So I'm hoping that we're a little bit closer to the pace, because that was one of the other things I struggled with here. I wasn't really sure who was going to make the lead in this spot. And so that was the other thing that I thought would be interesting to see if the 5 could inject a little bit more pace this time out and see if he could be a pace presence based on the way he ran in that sprint.
Well, let's talk about the 4th horse that you're using, the 3rd one for me, that I think has as good a chance as anyone to set the pace as I'm with you. I looked at this, like, who the hell's going to be on the lead? We're talking about the 10, El Socio. And what does Amicio Jaramillo like to do? Boy, he likes to go fast out of that gate. I love that we're going to get 15-1 on this horse. Armando de la Cerda, I talked about how Todd Pletcher's 4 for 55 with horses debuting at or longer than a mile. De la Cerda is 2 for his last 8, so he's already a lot better than Pletcher. He's halfway to Pletcher, and he's got about 47 mounts still to go. I also like that being by Bodemeister, he's a 13% turf sire, so that's good. This horse is also a half brother to a horse that you really hate in California named Bob and Jackie, who's got 4 wins from 7 starts on the turf and also a second. So he's 7-4-1-0 on the turf. A horse that likes to be prominent early. So combine that with Jaramillo, 15-1. Let's get nuts here.
Yeah, I mean, why not? And one of the things that you didn't mention here, and this is something that one of the reasons I love Gulfstream Park is you focus on it. De La Cerda always debuts his best horses on bigger days. This happens to be one of those like early bigger days in the meet, one of the with the Mucho Macho Man and the Ginger Punch on this card a little bit later. And then, this card is chock full of stakes races as well. This is a horse that is owned by De La Cerda too. So this is the trainer owns this horse and is placing it in this spot, which tended to come up a little bit tougher than most maiden specials. You specifically referenced how well De La Cerda does first time out debuting over a mile. With we didn't mention he's got a $10.50 ROI in those 8 starts. Oh, yeah. He also has an 18% win percentage with an 8.15 ROI first turf. He's 15% first time start with a $5.49 ROI. Specifically, Jaramillo and De La Cerda together at Gulfstream Park the last 2 years and 67 mounts or 18% with a $4.24 ROI. Bunch of reasons to like this, the ROI fact on De La Cerda, specifically first time turf, going a mile. And Jaramillo's a Sen type jockey. I do think this horse could end up showing some speed from the 10 post. I think it's awfully dangerous first time out. So I think that, it's LC. Oh, gosh. El Socchio has every shot of winning this race at 15-1. I love that price too. I did not know the price on this. I was expecting like 9-2, to be honest with you, when I looked at this horse. So I will take every bit of that 15-1 line, and hopefully we can get something big home.
Let's talk about a couple of horses quick that if there are scratches or if somebody's listening, they're like, I don't want to go chalk. I'm trying to beat both the Pletchers. They're both drawn a little bit far outside. You like the 1, and I've got a different horse I'll talk about, but I want you to talk about why the 1 will be the next one in if there are any scratches here. Yeah, for me, this horse just makes a ton of logical sense. First off, it's American Pharoah horse that just didn't run a step in its debut. Like literally ran too bad to be real in its debut, especially when Kimmel drew John Velazquez for that mount. So that's not a combination that you generally see all that often. So the fact that Velazquez picked up the mount told me that horse had some running ability. I like the fact that you don't break that well. You're kind of toward the back. You don't have any impact. And then boom, we decide to add blinkers here. Now, I realize we're only 10% first-time blinkers, but that still shows me that we do have the ability to get a horse home first-time blinkers. We talked about how we're not sure where the pace is going to come from. I could see Bravo trying to send this horse. American Pharoahs on a firm turf course are definitely a positive thing for me. So you have literally a $320,000 horse that's drawn the rail in a paceless race, that's adding blinkers, second time out, so all logical improvement angles. I could see the 1 horse running a big race here at 20-1. Yeah, he was one I looked at. Didn't make the ticket, obviously, but there were everything that you talked about is what drew me to him. So I'm not going to knock that one. For me, I'm going to actually talk about the 8 American Great, who's 12-1. This is a Mark Caskey, Gary Barber horse. Both people, if you listen to this, you know that I love where those horses go. Drawing Jose Ortiz aboard for this race is going to be big. This is another American Pharoah getting the firm turf. The thing with this horse, I have no idea if he's going to be able to handle the Gulfstream Park competition level because he's coming from Woodbine, and he was decent against the Woodbine horses there, at least especially in that last start. But two of those 3 races were on synthetic. For me, this is more of a first-time gelding angle. I like that Jose Ortiz is coming aboard for Cassie for the first time on this horse. Had a really nice work on the Palm Meadows turf around the dogs, 48-4 for 4 furlongs. And then the Grand Dam, so Red Carpet misses the dam. Her dam is a 3-time Grade 3 winner in turf routes. So there's plenty of breeding here to suggest that the horse should like turf routing. I just don't know if this horse is going to be good enough to beat who I really like on top.
Yeah, I actually looked at American Great for quite a while as well. I know that you love some Gary Barber. The fact that they gelded this horse I thought was interesting because this is a $385,000 horse that they're gelding. So clearly there was some issues there. It had some issues at the break last time out, and it just kind of chased around. It's another horse that could inject some pace into it based on the way that it ran last time. And my biggest concern is really it needs to improve a lot. And that was the biggest thing for me. Cassie's not been great at this meet so far. And when you combine the fact that he's been kind of subpar and the improvement that this horse needs, especially the 12 or the 9 could turn out to be a runner. And if either of them are runners, you're going to have to be darn good to be able to run them down. I'm not sure that the 8 has that in him.
We'll move on to the second leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, January 2nd, race 9 on the card. This is the $75,000 Ginger Brew Stakes. Got a field of 9, I didn't write it down. Field of 9 3-year-old fillies going a mile on the turf course. Your favorite is going to be the 3 Honey Pants at 3-1. You've also got the 6 Con Lima at 7-2, Designer Ready at 9-2. Boy, I'm going to be honest. I almost singled, and it's none of those horses I just listed. Where are you going on top?
Really? I almost singled, and it is one of those horses you listed. You're going to notice something from me over these next 2 races where I'm going to play some Woodbine horses coming in here. And the first one here is the 7 Designer Ready. Did you go back and watch that race? Did you watch the replay?
I did, yes.
I thought that replay was wildly impressive. Horse did not even start, didn't run a step the first 16th of a mile. and absolutely came flying. And I mean, flying around the outside there, and was able to just draw clear and like never really threaten anyone. Miss Frankel ends up running second in that race, who's a pretty darn good horse in her own right. So I like who she faced here. I think that it was unbelievable she was able to get the job done based on that start. I like the faith you have in bringing this horse down here. This is the first horse that Barbara Minshall is going to have here at this Gulfstream Park meet so far. The fact that this horse is shipping down from Woodbine for this race, you pick up Saez. I think everything's a go here. I think this horse has a chance at running a huge race, and that 9-2 price is pretty generous in my mind.
Boy, this is the first horse on the ticket if I get a scratch from one of the, because I went too deep here. And this horse does scare me. You would think that a jockey like Luis Saez is going to be able to get this horse out of the gate better. I think it's interesting that Barbara Minshall didn't put any gate works into this horse after her debut when she did have that struggle. So either she'd been training really well out of the gate and that was a one-time, like, I don't know what the hell happened, screw it, or this horse is going to be bad out of the gate again. But you think for Saez picking this up, who loves getting horses out of the gate and settled early, he wouldn't jump aboard unless this horse had some talent. The one other issue I have with Designer Ready is that a mile and a 16th on the outer turf at Woodbine is still a one-turn race. So you would think that the distance isn't going to be an issue at all since she's cutting back to a mile. But this is going to be first time going 2 turns. So a slight concern for me there. But 3 of the 4 siblings to race are all winners, and they all did it on turf. So you've got plenty of breeding here to suggest that this horse is going to like it. Just couldn't do it because I'm afraid that the 6... I put the 6 over the 7 slightly because I think the 6 has got a real strong chance to try and go gate to wire here. It's very dangerous, as you know as well as anyone. Lone speed on the Gulfstream Park turf can really kick your ass. And I like that Paco Lopez is jumping aboard. We're losing Irad Ortiz Jr. to the 3 Honey Pants, and he's never ridden the 3 before, so that made me a little concerned. But Paco is a very aggressive jockey, so I'm not worried about that. I also love that this horse was privately purchased after she broke her maiden back in July. Clips Thoroughbred Partners bought into her. They send her to Todd Pletcher. Pletcher immediately tries to go turf in the PG Johnson. Doesn't work out. She gets second. The Artier Peg. No, now we're going to get turf. Nope. Still rained off. Still gets second. Finally gets turf, and it happens to be 1 mile on this course. A little softer, but she goes gate to wire, wins by 5 1/4 lengths. I don't see a whole lot of speed here that can really threaten this horse early and still be able to extend that out. So the fact that Todd Pletcher kept trying to put this horse on the turf, finally doesn't. She succeeded the way she did. That's what gave me the edge over the 7.
Yeah, to be honest, I think we saw this pace setup a little different. I did use the 6 because I do think the 6 is a worthwhile horse and could definitely take a step forward here. Second time turf. Saw the same thing you did, where Pletcher wanted to get this horse turf the whole time and wasn't able to do that until the last race, where he was able to take the field gate to wire. Was a $1.40 favorite in that race and didn't have much pressure. So that was my one concern. I think that race may look better on paper than it necessarily ends up turning out to be. Other concern is that the 2 other horses I'm going to use here, we've talked about how the New York form going to Gulfstream Park is a big thing. The 1 and the 3, Oyster Box and Honey Pants, are both coming from New York sprint races, where the opening fractions were 22 and change and 21 and change. Both of them were close enough to the lead. I'm talking 2 lengths back and 3 lengths back to be threats here as through the early pace. I could see either the 1 or the 3 ending up being on the lead and the 6 kind of pressing with them, and then the other sitting right behind them and be able to really get a nice kick. So I think there is going to be more speed than you'd necessarily expect here early, because you have the 1 and the 3 that are both stretching out from inside posts in races that were better than the race that the 6 was coming out of. So I think you're going to see a little bit more of a pace pressure. It's one of the reasons I rolled out to the 7 is I do think there's 4 horses that possibly want the lead here. I think that the 6 is definitely dangerous. And if the 6 does get an easy lead, which it could, if the 1 or the 3 doesn't break and the other one decides it wants to sit, the 6 could wire this field. So I did use it, but I thought the 1 and the 3 were both really dangerous and have quite a bit of upside too. I mean, Honey Pants with Ortiz taking that mount, I thought was very interesting. If you look back, 2 back, So Enchanting and Miss Brazil were the horses that he beat. That she beat. Both of those horses turned out to be pretty decent. She was able to beat him by 4. I don't have any issue with the stretching out here. I think that should work fine. Clement's been doing very well this fall, rolling into this winter. So I think that'll be awfully interesting. There's a bunch of pedigree for her to be a good turf horse here with the horses that have been in her family, including multiple graded stakes winners. So I think Honey Pants is dangerous in this spot, stretching out to the mile distance. And so I'm going to use the 3. And then I mentioned Oyster Box, the 1 horse. I'm going to use that 1 as well. She got outbroke early in her last race, faced So Enchanting Enchanting as well. The same horse that Honey Pants faced, was able to beat her by 1. And it's logical, again, that this horse takes this pretty big step forward, second time out in her career. And I think it's interesting that this is the spot that Motion and Gainesway decides to enter Oyster Box. So I'm going to end up using 4 horses here. I don't really love any of them. The 7 I considered playing as a single, but I don't really want a single horse that might be 10 lengths behind during the first turn on a Gulfstream Park turf course. So I'm going to end up with a 1, 3, 6, 7 here.
So the one is the Oyster Box is who I almost singled here. I love this horse. First of all, 74 buyer for breaking the maiden on debut Belmont. That's the best debut buyer speed figure of anybody in this field. And it's kind of scary that if you think that she could improve in her second start by any means, it's going to be good enough to take on any of these horses. The final time in that race, 110 flat. There were 2 other races on the Belmont card that day that were 6 furlongs on the inner turf. One of them was in 110 3/5. The other one was 111 flat. So she won a lot faster than older horses, and she was a 2-year-old when she did that. Grand Motion is 21% winning the last start, so you know he can keep them fresh. She's a sibling to Flavius, who has driven us nuts more than once on this show, but is a talented
Flavius.
2-time stakes winner, very talented turf horse, just drives us nuts when in these big races, but is a talented horse. Alvarado and Motion are now 4 for their last 16 together, which with a positive ROI, which I really like. But here's another thing. You played Gulfstream yesterday. Did you play Candace O when she broke her maiden on the 30th yesterday? Do you remember?
Gosh, I don't know.
She won. She almost went gate to wire. But anyways, it was a 7.5 furlong 2-turn race. These 2 horses have been working out very close together for a lot of the fall here. They're both Grand Motion horses. So the fact that Candace O just broke her maiden after they'd been working out together really well recently tells me that this horse is probably going to have a really strong chance. The 2 horses she beat came right back to break their maidens out of that maiden special weight race. I don't know. To me, this just seems all systems go. I think that she's going to be very prominent, but I think she's going to sit just behind Stock to Pace, like she did when she broke her maiden, when she had to break from the rail in an 8-horse field. So none of those things concern me here, and that's why I'm like full systems go on Oyster Box.
Yeah, I mean, I like this horse. I think it's going to be interesting. The trip is really what I think is going to be interesting in this spot,
Yes.
and what Alvarado is able to do to work out from that rail post. One of those concerns, you don't want to get shuffled back too badly here for a horse that came out of sprint. So I would expect that Oyster Box kind of pushes forward and is forwardly placed through the first turn, maybe sits right behind the speed or is the speed. And so this race in the first turn, I think, is going to be really interesting. And I think that's going to tell you everything you need to know about where you want to be in this. It's one of the reasons I spread, like I said. I think you could see a very fast pace, or I think you could see one horse on the lead. And when you have either of those scenarios, it's a lot tougher to handicap.
Let's move on to the third leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, January 2nd. Race 10 on the card. This is the $100,000 Mucho Macho Man Stakes. Not an official Kentucky Derby points race, but these horses, they're using this to try and see if they can make it towards at least the Florida Derby. Field of 10 3-year-old males going a 1-turn mile on the Gulfstream Park main track. Favoritism is going to be on the number 5, Mutasabek for Todd Pletcher. 5-2. This is a grade 2 winner on turf coming out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile turf. Scratch that out. That was a terrible trip, terrible ride. Not a terrible ride, but just a terrible event altogether for him. Picking time at 3-1. This is a very talented horse for Kelly Breen. Boy, I went 3 deep here. Where are you going on top?
I ended up 2 deep here. This is the leg I ended up going the shortest. And to me, easy time here is the horse to beat. I actually thought about singling this horse, which is wild when I saw that 12-1 morning line. I did not expect that at all. I thought this horse was going to be the favorite. Look, one of the toughest things to do in horse racing is debut at 7 furlongs and win. And that's exactly what Easy Time was able to do. And Easy Time didn't do that on the lead. Easy Time did that in a very professional manner, sitting a couple lengths back, stalking the leaders, and then just going right on by, and won for fun in that race. It was drawn to the outside, which kind of helped there as well. But it was just a really professional race from this horse. I love the fact that this is by Not This Time, sold for $250,000 off a $40,000 stud fee. Not This Time has been one of the better sires this year. This one of the better first-year sires. So I'm excited to see what this horse can do. I think it's like 23 or 24 winners now from Not This Time. So it's like ridiculously good, especially for someone that wasn't that hyped at the start of the year. This was not one of those horses that you expected to really become a sire of sires. The fact that this is a Giants Causeway horse, Not This Time it tells you that the horse can be good on dirt or turf. Debuted on synthetic, and I thought ran really well. I love the fact that this is the spot that Cassie decides to go to. Like I mentioned, that barn hasn't been the hottest, so that's one of my concerns here. But the fact that they decided to bring this horse down for the Mucho Macho Man, kind of start this Derby trail, and the fact that Jose Ortiz picks up the mount tells me pretty much everything I need to know. I think all systems are go on Easy Time, and I think that you're going to get the pace in front of this horse for him to be able to get almost the identical trip and be able to stalk and pounce on this field.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love this horse. I put him on top as well. Obviously, we liked him because we drafted him in the second round of the fantasy league draft. So I honestly wasn't sure how strongly you felt about him, especially in this spot, because I was the one, I'll admit, that was really pushing. I was like, I want this horse. I want this horse. And since we didn't have a third round pick, I was like, I want to make sure we can get him. So you're talking about a barn that hasn't been doing well at Gulfstream Park so far. Yeah, he's 10 for 26 hitting the board. So that 1 for 26 mark, come on, Mark, just get a little bit better racing luck, buddy. You'll get there. Jose Ortiz picks up the mount. So we go from Rafi Hernandez, who's one of the top 2 or 3 jockeys at Woodbine. Now we're getting a Jose Ortiz to ride it here. The barn is 16% going synthetic to dirt. It doesn't show up on my DRFPPs, but I went and did some research and found that out. He's been working really well on the Palmetto dirt course as well. Those times are very respectable. He's been putting in multiple work, so you can see that he is getting better. Mark Casse said that the target was going to be this race or maybe a first level allowance for his first start. And so the fact that this is where he put him rather than a first level allowance on the Gulfstream Park dirt tells me that he's training better than Casse may have even thought. And this has been the plan for him for a couple of months. And again, is a big reason why I wanted to draft him. So I'm with you. I like this horse on top. As far as going too deep here, we both have the same horse in second. It's going to be the 5 Mucho Macho. For me, he's the class of the field. The fact that this horse has been running so well, both on dirt and turf, says a lot. He didn't get close to Jackie's Warrior in the Hopeful, but if you remember, sprinting, nobody gets close to Jackie's Warrior. So I'm going to forgive that one. I also like the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, like I said, was just, he was drawn, had a rough ride, a rough trip, didn't work out well for him. But he's come back to work really well, especially those last two, going a minute 3 for 5 furlongs, 48 and 3 for 4 furlongs. I think that this horse has still got plenty of talent. Pletcher wasn't sure if this horse wants to be a turf or dirt horse. He's given him a shot here. So that's why I didn't put him on top, because Pletcher doesn't sound as confident as he might for one of his bigger stars. But based on the class, you have to use him here.
Yeah, and that's the reason I use Mucho back here. This horse ran an 84 buyer over the dirt first time out at Saratoga. Absolutely nothing wrong in losing to Jackie's Warrior. I think that what we saw was when Jackie's Warrior freaked on that field, Pletcher made the decision that we have a better shot winning the turf at the Breeders' Cup than we do winning the dirt, because we have to beat Jackie's Warrior there, and I'm not sure that we can do it. Don't blame him. I don't think that was a terrible idea. Now, Jackie's Warrior obviously didn't go on to win that race, but that was one of the tougher fields of the weekend when you look at it. And I would agree that Mucho was overclassed on the dirt in that spot. Mucho is not overclassed on the dirt in this spot. We're talking about Easy Time at 12-1 coming down from Woodbine to take this field on as our top pick. And if that's our top pick, then Mucho fits in this field. And that's the other reason I'm going too deep here and using those two. I thought about the 7 picking time. That was the third horse for me. I was against the Nashua and the Remsen. That was big for me hitting the pick 5 at Aqueduct that day. Look, the Remsen's a mile and an eighth, right? The Nashua's a mile. So picking time fits a lot better in my mind in this spot than he did going a mile and an eighth in the Nashua. I think picking time is going to be close to or on the lead and I think it's going to face some pace pressure. And that's the reason I didn't end up going with picking time. But for me, if someone comes out of this, picking time would be the next horse in.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I went 3 deep here, and I was between him and the horse I ended up using, which would be the 6 Awesome Jerry. The fact that he did so well in the Nashua, which is a 1-turn mile at Aqueduct, I think is big. And, we weren't very high on the Remsen for anybody in that race, but 10 for 10 was second in the Nashua, comes back and almost wins the Remsen, whereas Picking Time just threw in the towel. Clearly a mile and an eighth, probably too much for that horse. I'm going with the 6 over the 7 because I read Ortiz Jr.'s jumping aboard, and he and Safi Joseph, 45% together last year's Gulfstream Park, 40% overall, positive ROIs. There's nothing about this horse that really gets me overly excited. You could point to the fact that he went to the Nyquist Stakes on the Breeders' Cup undercard and got 4th. Quick Tempo and Roderick both finished ahead of him. They both won their next starts, and Highly Motivated is coming back slowly. He's going to go to a Derby prep, probably the Holy Bull. So I like that he was at least had a nice class there. The Jean Lafitte, the Delta Downs, I don't know what to think about that one. He was improving a little bit, but that was I don't know. That race was just gross. So this is really just the jockey upgrade getting Irad with Safi Joseph, but I know you didn't love him and you had a reason why.
Yeah, I got a couple here. So I'm gonna throw out like 5 reasons why I didn't use this horse, because I did look at this horse quite a bit. First off, debuted at $50,000 maiden claimer. I am often one of those who says, hey, debuting at maiden claimer isn't the worst thing in the world. Safi doesn't debut bad horses at maiden claimers generally. That's not a Safi Joseph move. So the fact that this horse debuts at a maiden claimer, not super excited about that. Then let's look at the 2 races that actually make this horse fit in this race, right? One of them was at Gulfstream Park West as a $1.60 horse in a 6-horse field. So that, sorry, but I'm not going to give the horse a huge uplift there. And the other one was the only time this horse had Lasix at Delta Downs. So Lasix, I think, helped this horse step forward at Delta Downs. Obviously, if you want Derby points, you can't be running with Lasix. I think this is kind of one of those. Let's see what happens here when we're moving Lasix for this horse. I think that could be an issue here for Awesome Jerry. So the fact that we debuted at Maiden Claiming, our two best races are really easy to say, yeah, they're really not that good, and you're losing Lasix, all made me move away from this horse. Additionally, I saw that 45%. At 45%, to have a $2.20 ROI is almost like losing, because that means you're averaging about $4.80 a winner. So every single horse that's winning is winning at a chalk price. Not many of them are 6-1 morning line or going off anywhere near that. Because if your ROI was like $6, we could talk. We could talk about it. But having a $2.20 ROI going 45%, it's almost like you were supposed to win every one of those races, right? I mean, like that's really not that great of an ROI for 45%.
No, that's a good point. It reminds me a lot of Jason Service when he and I would get together. They'd have positive ROI. They were clipping at like 52%, and there was a reason Jason Service was clipping at 52%. So, listen, like I said, it was a tough, and this is really just the jockey move. That's what pushed me in this angle. But if you liked the 7, I don't love the 3-1 price, but if you like the 7, Mike made great arguments for it. Go for it. Go use them. I'm not going to try and talk you off the 7 at all.
Any interest in the 1 Ultimate Badger? That's the other horse that I looked at here that I thought would be worthwhile talking about.
So Ultimate Badger, I freaking hate this horse because I picked him to win the Iroquois Stakes because I was so confident that Dale Romans was going to upset that race, and I was half right, and I had the wrong horse, and ever since then I hate this horse.
I actually did the same thing. That's one of the reasons. I actually did the same thing. I thought that last race against Keep Me in Mind wasn't as bad as it looks on paper. The horse kind of pressed and then just kind of quit. And I don't think it really wanted, I just don't think it wanted to go that fast. Like, it's just a weird race, right? The fractions weren't crazy, but it wasn't as close as it wanted to be. It was carrying more weight than it ever had. So I can make a lot of excuses for why it ran poorly in that grade 1. I think this is more of the right type of field. I wouldn't be shocked if Ultimate Badger does something here. I'm not going to end up using the horse, but it's one I thought was at least worthwhile using underneath. And at 15-1, I thought it was worth talking about. But I also had Sitting on Go in that, or I also had Ultimate Badger over Sitting on Go in that race. I was pissed that day. That was some
yes,
bleep.
We were both a little unhappy that day, if I recall correctly. Yeah. I also listen. If you want to play a Dale Romans horse, that's the right price to try and play this horse.
Yeah.
15-1. Don't take a Dale Romans horse when he's close to being the favorite.
Yeah. It's like Mitch Murrill. Don't bet Mitch Murrill when he's the favorite. Bet him when he's a long shot. Don't bet Dale Romans when he's the favorite. Bet him when he's the long shot.
Let's move on to the 4th and final leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, January 2nd. And now we get to Mike's favorite part, which is claimers on turf. You got a field of 12 males, 4 and up, going to mile 16th on the Gulfstream Park lawn. Boy, favoritism here. It's not go. Is it Go Poke the Bear? God damn, it is. The 4, Go Poke the Bear, 7-2 favorite. That's you and I are clearly seeing these morning lines for the first time together here. And then the 8, Golden Decision, 9-2 second choice. I went 5 deep. Those were my top 2 choices. What about you?
I went 4 deep. I do have 5 horses I was interested in, but I ended up going 4 deep. I used them both. I thought Go Poke the Bear was a very logical top pick here. Again, New York form coming down. You've got Mike Maker. It's a Kitten's Joy horse, second off the layoff, late in the 5-year-old season, facing better, getting IRAD. Massive jockey upgrade going from Santana on the turf to IRAD on the turf. Like, don't underestimate how big of a difference that is. And then you're just facing an easier field. So I thought the 4, Go Poke the Bear, made a ton of sense. Do I want a single here? Heck no. This is a tough race. Like, I thought you could go a lot of different directions. The other horse I felt like was a must-use was the 7 horse, Artemis Bridge, that we're getting 12-1 morning line on. Pretty surprised when I saw that, not going to lie. The first time I saw that was right now. I'm pretty happy that we have this horse on the ticket here. I think it's interesting that Ortiz stays on aboard this horse. It bumped badly in the last start, was 20 lengths back of the lead at the half-mile point. 20 lengths. Like, 20 lengths.
Wasn't even close to being on screen.
Ended up finishing 4 back in 5th, so it was able to close quite a bit of ground after that start. Runs a 77 buyer. Look, this horse has 84s and 83s over the Monmouth and the Laurel turf. Fits at this level at $35,000 claimers. Steve Cathers has had a good meet so far with 5 winners and 19 starts, 14% overall. Like I said, I like the fact that Jose stays aboard. I think that you're going to get the setup in here. There's quite a bit of pace that's going to run in front of it. All those reasons, I'm interested in the 7 horse here at 12-1. The 4 and the 7 are going to be my 2 must-uses.
I like the 7 too. I like that we're getting second off of a little bit of a layoff here. Steve Plasaris has been hot at this meet. 5 for 19. I don't pay attention to Gulfstream enough, but I knew Steve Plasaris was doing well, and I saw those stats. I was shit. He's doing even better than I thought. So, I'm willing to roll with the 7. Jose staying aboard. That 20 lengths back thing. I looked at this, and because the numbers were so small, I really had to squint and stare. I'm like, 20 lengths. I went and watched the replay. Once they bumped at the start, the horse was like the next county.
Yeah.
It was over in Miami.
You had a wildly fast pace, right? They went 44 and 4 for the first opening half mile, but the bump still clearly affected the horse and sent him way back. So because of the depth of the action that the horse had to take and the forwardly pace, it put this horse in a position it's never been in before. And I think you can really excuse it off a layoff in that type of position.
Yeah, and there's plenty of depending on back class here for this level that indicates this horse should be a lot better than 12-1 at least. I'll go back to the 4 real quick. Mike Maker is 19% second off of a break, similar to what this horse is coming back from. I think this is a very suitable level. This horse, Maker claimed him, sent him straight into the Pan America. A little bit too much. Tiller Stakes, a little bit too much. You see him start to slowly bring the horse back down after claiming him. But if you look at how he was getting passed around, Brad Cox had this horse twice. Todd Pletcher had this horse twice. The same ownership kept trading this horse back and forth last summer in New York. So when those two guys are saying they really like this horse and then Maker comes out and gets him, that tells me something's going to be pretty good here. And oh yeah, by the way, we're getting the #1 jockey in the nation, Irad Ortiz Jr., to ride him. So yeah, probably a good chance for Go Poke the Bear.
Yeah, I think he's got a shot. Like I said, though, my biggest concern here is we talk about these false buyers in stakes races and graded stakes races. Mm-hmm. His 2 best career buyers, right, which are complete outliers of an 89 and a 91, are in the Pan American and the Tiller, a grade 2 and an overnight stakes. I mean, so it kind of sets you up to think, well, maybe that race was run a little bit faster and got a little bit better buyer figures across the board, help bump this horse up. And expecting those type of buyers from this horse, I don't think is realistic. That's why I don't think this is a single, and probably is going to get over bet, because you can look back to those races and say, oh, facing better, ran big buyers. But those to me are a little bit of false buyers.
Let's take a look at another horse that you and I both really liked here. Well, let's go to the 8-horse Golden Decision. This is my other must-use. You mentioned earlier a different race. Mike, the trainer, also De La Cerda, also owned the horse. Peter Walter is a trainer that's kicked my ass more than once at Gulfstream. He's really good in the claiming level, 24% with positive ROI. He co-owns this horse. Do you think he would have put this horse in here without it having a shot? No. Paco Lopez rides back. Paco Lopez rides back. Second start after a 4-month break. That 83 buyer is not an outlier. It is not juiced up by the fact that the horse was in stakes. He was literally at the same level, this same trip, misses by a length. Now we're getting second back off. This horse is a fun claimer to keep watching. I think this horse has got as good a shot as anybody in here.
100% agree. It's interesting that Walter claimed this horse way back in early 2019 and ran this horse protected for a really, really long time. And so he clearly wanted to keep this horse in his barn. He was able to win a couple races with this horse, and then kind of allowed it to be in that $35,000, $50,000 claiming level, which is where we are today. And oh, by the way, with Paco at this distance on this track, February 26, 2020, horse runs an 87 buyer and airs the field at 6-1. I like a lot of reasons here to like Golden Decision. Has success over the track with the jockey, with the trainer. I think this is the right level for this horse now. Mm-hmm. And you're getting that second off the layoff as well. And this is a horse that ran up at Saratoga, had a pretty good, went on the turf, showed a pretty good version of itself. Now it's coming back down to Gulfstream. I think it has every chance of running a fairly big race in this spot. 4th horse in for me here. I didn't see a ton of pace in this spot. And because of that, I went to the 5-horse Light Fury, who I think has a shot at wiring this field at 15-1. I like Vasquez as one of those jockeys that's sneaky. This horse is stepping up in class, but the way to step up in class is try and go gate to wire against a field. So 4-year-old son of Wicked Strong. It's only tried the turf twice. Those happen to be its 2 best career buyers. You saw a big step forward first time out to second time out. It ran much better when going into the Ronald Spatz barn as well. So you have Spatz, who's 30% off when it's won the last start with a $3.60 ROI. And you have Vasquez, who's staying on this horse and had ridden this horse before as well. So for me, there's a lot of reasons to like the 5-horse Light Fury, and that's going to be the 4th horse in for me. I'm hoping he can take him gate to wire 15-1.
I didn't use, but I did like the fact that last race really made me pause. The fact that you suddenly have a huge buyer jump to a 78 without a big class jump. The horse has been at that, it took a while to break. The maiden was at the 20, 16, 12, 5 level. That was at the claiming 20 level. So a little bit of a step up here in price, but not a significant one that would make you think it's out of its element. You're right, Mike. If you want to try and beat these horses when you shouldn't, you go gate to wire with them. I didn't end up using, but I know that the trainers are very high on Light Fury as well. There was a Gulfstream Park PR that came out where he was talking up the horse pretty good. I got 2 more horses. I'm going to use the 6 horse, Blameless. I like blame horses when they're on turf. You've got out of a Spitestown mare, so there's a little bit of speed here. I think I don't think this horse is going to go to the lead. You've seen it happen, but it was going a little longer in the past. I think Velasquez being aboard is for the 3rd time in second straight. I think this is going to be a big improvement for this horse, and I think he's going to allow Blameless to sit right off of if Light Fury ends up being the lead and not let that horse kind of get away. Velasquez has been able to put this horse on the lead, been able to set him back in second. Hasn't been able to win either time, but those were at much higher levels. Now we're taking a big class drop here for Michael Matz, who is not great at the claiming level. He's not a high percentage trainer, but Velasquez jumping back aboard again. This horse has won at Gulfstream Park before, broke its maiden going 7.5, a 2-turn 7.5 here on the turf. So I'm going to use Blameless. I'm curious why you didn't.
I felt like this was New York speed. That to me was the biggest thing. It was able to get the lead going a mile and 1/8, but did that in 51 seconds. At Monmouth goes a mile and 16th, 50 seconds, 41:14 and 4. So neither of those was exactly going quickly. So for me, that was the reason why Blameless. I don't think Blameless has as much speed as I think you think Blameless has. To me, that was the biggest thing. I think this is the false speed of the race, where look, let's say they go 48 and change, which I think will actually be slow for what they're going to do in this race. Blameless hasn't really been close to a 48 and change type half mile. If you look 3 back at Delaware, it goes 47 and 5. And I guess you can say in February over the Gulfstream turf,
he 46 flat. But
yeah,
he also.
Yeah, he quit off those numbers when he went when the race was 47 half later in this year, later in the 5-year-old season. The horse was 6 lengths off the lead. So I'm just not sure that this horse has that early turn of foot to be able to stay with Light Fury, and then I'm not sure if it's good enough to run home. Like it's kind of one of those things where like I can't picture the trip in my head that gets Blameless home. Now, to be fair, my 5th horse in was Blameless. Like so, I don't like completely disagree with you here. I just have 4 horses that I like over it. And because I didn't single the 3 horse in the 10th race or the 7 horse in the 9th race, I couldn't use my 5th horse in the 8th and the 11th. So ticket construction made me force the 6 out. So I'm not going to get all over you for using it because I do think there's a path there. And I think this horse is dangerous with Blame and Velasquez. But I also don't really see the trip that sets this horse up to win. That's why it's my 5th horse in the race and the one that doesn't make the ticket.
This will be also first time. Well, that's interesting. Equibase lists this as first time Lasix. My DRF PPs don't have it. I'm going to lean towards Equibase there with that one. Do your PPs have this horse as adding Lasix for the first time?
Nope, nothing.
Oh boy, that's screwy. God bless DRF. Maybe that was a last second. Maybe that was a late medication change. I didn't notice it until now, so I'm not going to say that's another reason I used the horse. The last one I used, God, I hate myself for doing this. Monongahela, all the way outside in the 12 post. This is not a horse that I should use because I told you I'm not using a Pletcher because of the 12 post. And that horse I think is talented against that group more so than Monongahela might be here. But this horse is taking a huge class drop. This is one of those Jason Service pharmaceutical stars that was really just lights out. Triple digit buyers all over the place, winning graded stakes races, doing wonderful things. Then gets off the service juice, goes to Chad Brown, doesn't run a lick in a pair of grade 3 races. Chad Brown says, this horse is trash, sends it to Brittany Russell. Brittany Russell also can't do anything with it, but I think this is where this horse belongs, and I think if there wasn't a Jason Service pharmaceutical resume, addition to this horse's resume, you'd probably say 35 claimer is where this horse is supposed to be. So I'm going to do that, and I have a lot of respect for Brittany Russell. She's a really talented trainer at Laurel. She almost won the Laurel Park training title with half as many mounts as Claudio Gonzalez. So I've got a lot of respect for her and what she can do as a trainer. I don't think that this is a scary drop. I think this is the right fit, but this is also a shitty post draw, and you have no idea if this horse wants to run anymore. Now he's going to be age 7 by the time this race goes off after all the service juice. So if you don't like this horse, I'm not going to try and convince you to add him.
Yeah, don't use this horse. The other issue that we have here is we're trying turf for the very first time. 264 Tomlinson turf rating. That's no bueno. One time it's ridden on synthetic or run on synthetic is an 674 buyer, worst buyer outside of the 72 it ran at Delaware. First time in the Russell barn. And also in that race on the synthetic got beat by the 10 horse Fielder who you're not using. So there's a lot of reasons. Now, I agree with you. If this horse somehow runs back to the buyers that it ran in the Brown barn, even in the Brown barn where they are good enough to win this race and is able to extrapolate those dirt efforts over to the turf. Yeah. Okay, cool. I could see this, but man, this is a tough draw for a horse that is in a tough spot that yes, is taking the drop in class, but man, it's trying a lot of new things that I don't think are necessarily good things. Let's just put it that way.
Well, the morning line price is 6-1, and one adage that I've heard a lot is that I've tried to adhere to is don't bet a horse trying something new at a short price. If 6-1, that is like right at that level where I might not. I'm going to use the horse. I'm going to stick with it, but you make really compelling cases for me to not do it. It's just a case of, based on the class that this horse had been keeping, that's if this horse ends up winning, I'm going to sit here and go, God damn it, I knew this horse was going to do it on the class drop. So I'm going to stick with it. But again, if you're not on it, I'm not going to try and convince you.
Yeah, I mean, got walloped at optional 50. And so, like, yes, we're taking a class drop here, but, kind of like, are we sure it's far enough? Like, just throwing it out there. Like, maybe we go down to 20. Maybe just head right into those 62.5 milers. Non-winners of 3 lifetime. See what happens. I just to me, there's too much against that horse. I think there's too many interesting horses in here that have better draws that are more logical. Now, Brittany Russell's been absolutely on fire, 29% this year, and been winning all over the place. So I don't disagree with you there. But this horse is one she hasn't been able to figure out in the 3 times in her barn. So I'm not sure why the light bulb goes on this time for the former Service and Brown horse.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thank you so much for joining Mike and I today as we go through the late pick 4 sequence Gulfstream Park on Saturday, January 2nd. We'll go through our tickets one last time. If you're watching live or the replay, thank you so much for watching and not just listening. If you're listening on a podcast, what the hell's wrong with you? We're doing this on video so you can see our lovely faces. No, I'm just kidding. But if you are watching, added bonus, look down below. I've got the tickets here for you. I will start things off. I'm going to go 5, 9, 10 with 1, 6, with 3, 5, 6, with 4, 6, 7, 8, 12. That is a $45 ticket for 50 cents. Mr. Samich.
Yeah, I'm going to play a 50-cent ticket. It's going to cost you $64. I'm going to go 5, 9, 10, 12 with 1, 3, 6, 7, with 3, 5, with 4, 5, 7, 8. If you wanted to get a little funky, shorten this puppy down. I don't think singling the 7 in the 9th race and the 3 in the 10th race and then spreading in the other 2 legs or even playing like a $2 or $5 ticket with those 2 singles is a terrible idea here either, since especially one of them is 12-1. So it will return a little bit of coin.
God, man, we get 12. Anything close to 12-1 easy time. That is definitely worth a win bet as well. So
yeah, I'll be playing across the board if it's over 6-1.
Here's the one thing I didn't mention when we were talking about the horse because I didn't want to sound like too much of a homer. But the ownership, Breeze Easy, is one of my probably right behind Gary Barber in terms of my favorite owners in the sport. First of all, they named multiple horses after Frasier references, and Frasier's my favorite TV show of all time, so they already got me there. They're a 25% winning ownership group. They're on the board percentages close to 60%. I was doing the math this morning. They've had stars like Imprimis, 4-wheel drive. Hopefully Easy Time turns into another. They've had a few other good stakes winners. It's a very shrewd, talented group. They don't buy a lot of horses, but the ones they have, man, they really seem to do well. So that's another reason that I like Easy Time in this spot. If this horse had a Frasier reference, I'm pretty positive I would have just singled and just said move on.
Would have been over.
No shot.
Look, I think the horse is going to run big. I think the fact that this horse is coming down from Woodbine tells you everything you need to know. I think this is a prep for the Florida circuit with the Fountain of Youth and with the Florida Derby. So I think it's just a very, very interesting spot for this horse to run next time out. So I'm excited to see what Easy Time's able to do on Saturday, and hopefully it gets the Magic Mike team off to a romp-roaring start, right?
Get a nice little 5-point start in the fantasy league. We want to thank everybody for joining us for 2020. This is the last day. It's been really great having all of you follow us. Dr. Tang, I know, has been a really big supporter of ours. So thank you to everybody who's been following us and on this journey. Big plans for 2021, both with us, with the Magic Mike Show, and with the website as a whole. So plenty to look forward to as well for that. The Blinkers Off guys were supposed to be on at 12, but then I reminded them who runs the world, and it's not them.
You gotta know who the more listened to podcast is. Then they know who gets precedence here.
I wouldn't go so far as that because Jared has access to the numbers.
Yeah, he fudges the numbers.
That's true. I don't see them, so I don't know how they're doing. But they'll be here in just about 1 hour, so 2 p.m. Pacific, whatever the hell that equals out to you for whatever time zone you're in. So make sure you check them out. They're going to cover all of the stakes action, including Life is Good, who is going to be in the Sham Stakes. He's 2-5 on the morning line. John White almost never goes below even money on a morning line. I think Justify was 4-5 in the San Diego Derby, and that was the first time I went, whoa. The John is like, he knows this horse can get bet, and he's finally actually putting him below the morning line. So 2-5 on Life is Good. That might actually be a steal. If you can lock him in at 2-5, do it, because he's got to be 1-20 when they go off, right?
Don't listen to Magic. Don't lock him in at 2-5. That's freaking crazy. No, the horse shouldn't be 2-5. Come on. Don't be betting $2 to win 40 cents. This is horse
No,
racing.
don't actually do it. My point was, I think 2 to 5 is going to be that's somehow value on that horse. Don't ever bet a horse at 2 to 5.
If you want to single that horse and spread around or hammer a pick 3 with prices on either end or something like that, maybe you can find some value as well. Although the way to make money is to beat that horse, but sometimes that's just throwing money away instead of making it.
I was gonna say, actually, the way to make money in this race is to not bet.
Yeah,
just don't bet the race or do a show spread.
Find a double you like with the non-favorite and one of the other 2 legs, because the favorite doubles are going to get hammered, or even play an exacta with one of like the 4th or 5th choice and play it cold with the heavy favorite on top, because that way you're going to be able to get a little bit more value by playing Life is Good specifically over your horse that you like, who's 6 to 1, 7 to 1, and maybe you can get $4 for the exacta.
I got any final thoughts here for the end of 2020? I got nothing.
Good riddance. Bye-bye, 2020. Get out of here. Looking forward to 2021. It's going to be a heck of a year. I don't think we missed a single show. I think we did 2 a week for pretty much the entire year, which is pretty darn incredible. We had one of us in and out, at certain times, but we ground through it. We were able to make this happen. Thank you, everybody who's followed us this year and followed us from the start through 200+ episodes now. Looking forward to keeping this thing rolling. It's going to be a heck of a 2021, man.
Boy, you thought we were in and out a little bit in 2020. I got a big reason here why you're suddenly in the springtime you're going to see a lot less of me for a little bit. So got that to look forward to as well. So pretty damn excited in the Magic household. And on that note, I need to go, maybe take care of some stuff regarding that. So make sure you're following us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kellard. He is at SummerBomb18, number 1, number 8, Corporate Overlords, at Racing_Dudes. Go to racenews.com. We got previews for the Sham Stakes, the Jerome Stakes, for pretty much every stakes that's happening this weekend. Go check out those previews. Check out the Samo Bombs. Check out Ricky's Rockets. Check out the Rocket Hour when he goes live in the mornings. He's previewing that day's races at Gulfstream Park. So great show. Plenty of insight. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike. And Magic's having a baby for those people listening to the podcast.
Well, I'm not. My wife is.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. Mrs. Magic. There you go.
Good luck to all. Have a safe, happy New Year's. We'll see you guys in 2021.
Woohoo!
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show, tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show, you can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.